All right, the outlook for 2025, and I'm going to say this very carefully. The first thing is we need a mind orientation. Let me give you what I mean by that. It's always nice to use the system and the structure that you have to achieve your goal in times. Take, for example, crowdfunding is something that we have spoken about, but we have not really exhaustively looked at the advantages of it and how we can use what exists right now. Take, for example, if you take my wage slip, for example, you'll find an item there called housing allowance. Do I use my housing allowance as rent? Not necessarily, not all the time, but I get it annually. Could we crowdfund a generation to use their housing allowance and say, can we put it all together? The National Housing Fund has been there. The pension system says you can take 25% as a deposit. All of this exists already. And then the other one that I believe we should change the narration because of my experience working abroad is, why buy me a car for 85 million as a status car? Why buy me liability? I have worked in the UK, I've worked in the US. We must use what exists that are sustainable. We are working out of sustainable financial systems. So I resume as an ED, you invest in me 68 million as a status car. The moment I drive that car out, it becomes a liability, even before I drive it out. Because before I drive it out, you must take out the insurance. Mm-hmm. You must pay for all the papers. Yes. So majority of us in this hall, we're driving our houses on the road. We need to change that narrative. We should consciously ask ourselves, our financial system's real? If I'm a government official, and I'm not saying this to deride anybody, you have 6 Ford Jeeps in your convoy. Now, let's think about it really. Those are resources that can be transferred elsewhere. Now, if I ask, and I'm not again asking you to change your lifestyle, but I just sit back and I think there's so many things we can do as individuals. Since you're asking for the outlook in 2025, yes. Let me say something, for example. Why should I buy an iPhone for 2.6 million? So, if I crowdfund 10 iPhones, 20 iPhones, in age brackets, friends among ourselves, we buy a parcel of land. And because I don't want to build a mansion, we have the land, what do? We go up. We build apartments, so we're 5 friends. We bring our 2 million for our iPhone together. We buy land. We build 5 level floors. Each one of us take an apartment. We don't need to live there. It becomes a B&B and we rent it out. And we make money from it. We buy the next one. That is how you use real estate for 2025 as a catalyst for accelerated economic growth. That was what I wrote here. There's so many things we can do.
Everyone is clapping. Just to inform everyone that WEMABOD staff are waiting there at the door. To execute all of you that have iPhone of 2.5 million.
We should collect it from them.
Yeah, we should just, we're going to put it in the housing, in the real estate.
But there's so many things. Like my former governor said, His Excellency, there's so many conversations that we need to take out of here. Yes, but there's some ideas that are in my head, based on my own exposure, that I feel we're not getting things right.
I shouldn't be making phone calls with my house. That's what you're saying. That I could just... Where is this? This is not 2.6, by the way. Please, everyone, just... So it could just be my house in Lekki, right?
Yes.
Hello? Yes. I cannot be a landlord and be a Land Rover. Hold on a second.
You cannot be a tenant and be riding a Land Rover.
Put that away somewhere.
Yeah, but that's what's happening now.
Yes,
and then when the car breaks down,
yes.
You know what they do?
I was taking a picture of the phone. Okay.
When we're under even the iPhone, now there's nothing wrong with buying an iPhone, but we're underutilizing the iPhone because what we're really doing is TikToking.
I don't understand.
Yes, no, I'm not talking to you. You should understand.
Yes,
you are not in that age group.
I know.
If you start buying a house now,
yes,
you might not finish paying it before the Lord calls you.
But I'm talking. Let me check whether he called me while the program.
Oh, okay. How many calls? But I'm talking to a generation, sincerely. Yes. I'm speaking to a generation. The earlier we begin to do a mind reorientation and begin to, so when you talk about financial matching, don't just wait for the government. Look at what you can match. There are many groups. You see why I like this generation is that I see I tweet something and it takes generations for it to be retweeted. But they tweet and immediately 100 million people retweet. That means it's easy for you guys to crowdfund. And there are many ways to crowdfund. There's so many things you can do in the value chain of real estate that can position you very comfortably for 2025. One thing you must not do early is to take on liability when you make a breakthrough early. Restructure, reorganize your personal finance to ensure that at a young age, you see, when we were working in the UK, by 18, we're already applying for a mortgage and we could start with a condo. We're not married, so there was no encumbrance on our salary. So we could start with a condo, and then the salary increased, we moved to 1 bedroom, it increases, we moved to a bedroom. By the time we're getting married, I'm ready to do a 3-bedroom. And then I bring my wife and myself together, and we can expand our financial base to do certain things.
I'm going to charge you for those financial advice. I'm going to take a call. I asked the Director. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. Let's go to Mr. Victor.